Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical HeliCast in partnership with Vertical Valor magazine. This special episode is recorded on location at the Vertical MRO Conference in Irving, Texas, where we had the opportunity to talk with Emmy Award winner Clint Pulver.
And sometimes people will say, try to be the leader that you wish you had. And I found in my research that there's power in becoming the mentor you were lucky enough to have. Like, look back on your career and you're like, who are the people that showed up? Who are the people that created the moment? Who are the people that opened the door? Who are the people that because of them, you are now where you're at now? And when you remember, like, that's you. If you are in a leader, you have that opportunity. You have that privilege. You have that platform. You have that ability to influence in a way that somebody a year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years later will look back and go, you're the one that changed everything. That's a cool perspective.
Clint's an author, keynote speaker, and partner in the helicopter apparel company, HeliLife. We had Clint Pulver on the Hangar Z podcast back in episodes 230 and 231, where we explored the vital role of effective leadership in the realms of public safety and aviation. In this conversation, we talked about Clint's apparel company, HeliLife. HeliLife is a brand born from a love of aviation and a dedication to quality. Founded by helicopter pilots and enthusiasts, HeliLife creates premium outdoor gear designed specifically for pilots. Their mission is to deliver high-quality performance gear that I love because it's high quality and it promotes the helicopter industry, which we all love. We also get an opportunity to talk about Clint's nonprofit organization called Dream Machines. Dream Machines is committed to giving children with disabilities the magic of flight through unforgettable experiences on the ground and in the air. Dream Machines creates moments of wonder and hope for these young dreamers, working closely with partners like Make-A-Wish and local disability service to turn dreams into reality. Join us as we explore how HeliLife's passion for quality and Clint's creation of community initiatives like Dream Machines is helping elevate the aviation community for pilots and for those who need a little extra magic in their lives. Thank you to our sponsors, Anodyne Electronics Manufacturing, HeliLadder, and Quantum Helicopters.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical HeliCasts. The Hangar Z podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
It's time for your HeliLife giveaway buzzword. Listen up and remember this word because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive HeliLife gear. Ready? This episode's buzzword is auto-rotation. Visit contest.verticalhelicasts.com to enter the buzzword.
Hey, welcome to the Hangar Z podcast. I'm your host, John Gray. Man, what an honor to be here today with the guests and owners of Vertical Magazine that we're here with. We're in Irving, Texas, on location at the Vertical MRO Conference. This is Vertical MRO number 2. Man, it's been amazing. First we were in Kelowna, and now we're in Irving, Texas, and equally as cool as Kelowna, just for different reasons. But at both conferences, we've had the pleasure of Clint Pulver being here, and Clint, you've been on the podcast, both on the Hangar Z podcast and the Vertical MRO podcast, and you're, I think, one of my go-to most quoted folks that have been on the podcast. You and Terry Mauchi, who we need to take a picture of and send to at some point.
Yeah, let's do it.
But the message and the values that you're spreading through your speaking engagements, through your company, HeliLife, through the Dream Machine Foundation, those are so great, and we talked about offline a little bit. I think culturally what we do is we find companies we don't like because we don't agree with some of the values they have, and we cancel them. What we're not good at is finding the companies that we enjoy, we identify with, we think are valuable, that are positive community members, and we don't promote those folks organically very often. So I want to spend this time, talking to you, picking your brain, essentially thanking you for what you've done for our community. Leadership over the course of all these conversations that I've had in law enforcement is usually one of the highest priority issues that folks are dealing with. And then you talk about being the undercover millennial. I feel like in a way I've been in that same boat, talking to people from throughout the world in the public safety sector, and as well as on the MRO podcast, talking about the things that they like, they don't like, the things that work and don't work. And again, leadership comes back to that a lot.
Yep.
So first off, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. And this is an honor for me to have participated in these two events. And just a special thank you to both Mike and Linda for their trust, everything that they have done. I was a little guy growing up, and the whole dream was to fly helicopters. And at that time, there was no YouTube. There was no Google. All you had was Vertical magazine.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, I looked forward to that issue hitting my door every month. And just to be here today and to be here with you all and to just, again, have the opportunity to give back and to serve an industry that has inspired me and truly been a love and a passion my entire life is an honor. So I just needed to say that before we started. And it's a joy to be here and to be on the show. And John, you're okay too. So.
That's okay.
I love you, John. You're the best.
You know, it's funny you talk about Vertical being the go-to publication, because I remember going to aviation, going to the hangar, and that was the one thing that was on the coffee table. If you weren't on a flight,
yep,
you better be reading Vertical, you better be studying, you better be doing something to benefit yourself. But Vertical was the one thing I saw, and I think in our early conversations I kept talking about that, and I still do to this day because it's made such an impact in our community, you know, which is really cool. So the fact that I'm sitting here with the creators and founders of Vertical Magazine with Clint Pulver, you know, all these years later is such an honor for me to sit here with you guys. Mike and Linda, thank you for being a part of this conversation. Thanks for all you've done for this industry. I mean, just this alone, this event is mind-blowing. You know, really cool that, you know, these folks who don't often get or very rarely get the gratitude that's deserved for the things that they do to make everything happen. You know, your no maintenance, no mission mindset. Really cool to create that space for them here, to hear the conversations take place, to see everyone kind of synergize. It's been really cool. So thank you. And just want to open up for a bit. What are your guys' thoughts on the conferences and where we've come?
I have had so many pinch me moments, I have to say, like with Kelowna, but now here in Irving, so many times when I thought, oh my gosh, like you have a moment when you look around and you think, we did it. Like a year of all of the planning, the hard work, and the consideration of the sector and how we're going to bring this together. And it's like, wow. And then even that moment of, is everybody going to come? Are they going to come?
Are people going to show up?
Yeah. And it's like, yes, you know. And then, of course, just a few moments ago before we started this recording, standing and speaking to those 3 students who drove from Chicago to be here, it's very humbling. Like, you know, this is just making such a big impact to the industry. And we're just thrilled that everybody has embraced it.
Yeah.
And the support that we've received. Couldn't do any of it without the support that we received from the exhibitors, to the attendees, of course, to our sponsors. Just very thankful, very thankful.
There's 2 things I want to touch on there. You know, Vertical is about to celebrate 25 years of operation. The impact you've had over that 25 years is insane. You talk about the 1 year it took to build this particular event in this space. To me, it's been 25 years in the making. You know, all the things that you've done, you've built this foundation that's created this organization. It took 25 years to get to this point. But kudos to you guys for doing that. Really cool. It is a pinch me moment. You know, it's really cool.
What's hard to believe is that this has never happened before, as far as having a platform for maintenance in the helicopter MRO community. These 3 students that drove from Chicago because their flights were canceled. When I said to them, I said, you're lucky. This is the first time there's ever been a forum for maintainers to come to. And they were like, didn't know that. So for people that are just getting into the industry, that they can gravitate to this and now they have a community here they can connect with is amazing. To see some of the companies that are reaching out with the number of students that are here, and they're like, hey, send those students over to us so we can talk to them as well. So they never had, it's hard to believe that. They never really had that platform before until now. And it goes over to what Clint is doing, where you're talking about it's the sector of the industry sometimes doesn't get the gratification that they deserve, which speaks into exactly to what you're doing here today. And it's those little things. So how do we change that conversation? So mechanics have always usually been, you know, they were the kind of like the last thought, versus now we got to propel them up. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. Change that conversation.
Yeah. Love to shine a light on the folks that are making the missions possible. Clint, if you could, for folks that haven't listened to the podcast, maybe haven't read your book, can you give us a snapshot overview of, what your engagements look like, kind of your mindset and the philosophy of what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, the goal is how do we help organizations create a place that people never want to leave? A place where people don't just love the job, but they actually love who they are while they're at the job. How do you create a place that when people are working for you, they like themselves best? And so the focus is on retention. The focus is on how do we stop turnover? How do we create a dynamic where you as the leader become the entity and the individual that people choose? And so mentorship is a huge key in that. And for the last 6.5 years, I've traveled the world as the undercover millennial. So I would go undercover into organizations as a young person who was looking for a job, and we would get the authentic truth behind why people choose to leave and why people choose to stay. And it took 4.5 years to write a book. The book's called I Love It Here. I'll never do that again.
Phenomenal book, by the way.
But I'm proud of it, and it's their stories. It's capturing that research in a way that brings to light a perspective that many leaders don't always see. Why are we losing people, or people don't want to work anymore? Or everybody's just, everyone's going to the airlines. Like, well, maybe there's something we're missing. And so that the chance again to be here and to be a part of this and to serve an industry that I love, to help maybe bring light to maybe some things that they're not seeing, maybe some things that they're doing that we can do better, and again creating a higher level of retention, specifically in the helicopter industry, has been a joy. So, yeah, that's a little snapshot and what I do and what we've been doing at these two events.
Yeah, again, going back to what you've done for us here at the conferences, you spoke in Kelowna, and when we're done, there's not a dry in the house, which is something to say for the folks that are there, right? Like these aren't. These are folks that aren't used to, like, what is that feeling, but you impacted their lives. And again, leadership is the biggest issue I think that we're facing. There's also recruitment issues and retention issues, and you truly speak to the retention and leadership side of what we're talking about. So for agencies that are looking for companies that are looking for someone to come in and give you some insights, some actionable things you can do to retain folks, think about bringing Clint in. You're a world-class speaker. You're just inducted to the Hall of Fame. That was amazing, cool. By the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll have to do this.
Hey, there you go. Look at you. You're going to another level, John.
No, I'm just seeing you receive that award is much deserved. You're changing the world a day at a time, a moment at a time, as you talk about those moments that we create.
Thank you, John.
So highly encourage, if you're an organization that is looking for that, inspiration to truly change the organization, think about bringing Clint in, especially in aviation. You've got a passion for aviation. You've been involved in aviation for a long time. Talk about your early involvement in aviation and how that passion for where we are today grew from.
Yeah, I think my first love has always been helicopters from a young age, because my dad worked at the hospital, and he just took me as a little kid. I'm talking like maybe 6-7 years old, and IHC, it was an Augusta 109, came in and landed, and it just blew my mind. From the sound, I had never, just at a young age, and I looked at these heroes that just landed, and they came in, and they were so cool, and it was just professionalism, and then they were serving, they were giving, and they were saving a life, and I just thought, that's what I'm going to do. There's nothing else I want to do, and I grew up wanting to fly helicopters. As a senior in high school, I graduated with my fixed wing rating, and then I went and served a 2-year mission for my church. I came home, I had to renew my driver's license, and I went to the DMV to do that, and I couldn't renew my driver's license because I couldn't pass the vision test. And I'm looking in this little white box, and the lady's like, read the letters, and I'm like, I just see six dots. She's like, you got to push harder. I'm like, I don't see the letters. And she's looking at me, and she goes, I think you're blind. And I'm like, I drove here today. And she's like, you're not driving home. And she put a big red stamp on my paperwork and said denied. And I'm now under house arrest at the DMV. Long story short, I ended up at the Moran Eye Center at the University of Utah with a top leading doctor in a rare and degenerative eye disease called keratoconus. And as a young 21-year-old kid, I had it really bad. My eyes were as bad as an 87-year-old's, and I was going blind. And I remember the doctor asking, like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your plan? And I said, I want to be a helicopter pilot. That's all I want to do. And he said, it will never happen for you. And we talk about moments. That was a moment where, you know, as a young person, I had my eye on the sky, and everything kind of fell in around that. And I ended up going into a totally different industry, went into the medical field, but still just always wanted to fly. And that was still a passion, and I almost like avoided it completely. Like, there was no more reading Vertical magazine. There was no more going to air shows, because it just reminded me of that life that I wanted so bad. And 4 years out of college, they came out with a new eye procedure called cross-linking, and it was completely experimental, and we had been waiting for this. And my eyes every year got worse and worse and worse. So at this time, I was barely legal enough to drive. That's how bad my eyesight was. And I'll never forget, I got the call, and I was number 48 on the list. And they said, do you want to be one of the first human trials? And I said, yes. I mean, it was either that or go blind. And I did the procedure on my right eye, and then 6 months later, they did it on my left eye, and it completely stopped the progression of the disease and saved my sight.
Wow.
But I still couldn't fly. I couldn't hold a medical. I still didn't have the ability to do that. And fast forward to, it's been almost 3 years ago. I went in for a routine eye exam, and the doctor was looking at my medical history, and he goes, oh, I see you're a pilot. And I said, no, I used to be. And he's like, why are you not flying? Gave him the whole story, and he said, why are you not in scleral lenses, the contact lenses? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about, because it is game changing. It just hit the market. It's been in trials for years. It is a lens for people specifically with your eye disease. And he said, you have to let me try to fit you with that lens. And we went through 3.5 months of fit after fit, because it's a very intricate process. I mean, they map your eye. It's a very involved thing. And I will never forget, in that room, he puts the goggles on, and he goes, all right, what's better, 3 or 4? And I said 3. He goes, what's better, 2 or 3? And I said 3. And he said, read the bottom line. And I said, CKGELFWZ. And he said, you just hit the 2020 line.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
And I start crying. And because my first thought was, I can fly. And 2 weeks after that, I bought my first helicopter and jumped right back into aviation, and specifically vertical flight. And and then that led to Dream Machines, which I'm extremely passionate about. And I learned in my life that sometimes good things fall apart so that better things can fit together.
Yeah.
And it's been a really wild full circle moment. And again, that's why I'm so just being here doing it. Like, it's just it's an amazing testament to the orchestration of things beyond you.
We just talked on a panel about essentially the entrance into helicopter maintenance, and how this is an industry of passion. Like, kind of what you're describing embodies that. You know, you're here because you love what helicopters can do. The life-saving missions are a part of all the really cool things that helicopters are invented to do, and you've rediscovered this joy of flight, you know, and you created this organization. Talk about the organization you created and some of the motivations behind Dream Machines.
Thank you to our sponsor, AEM. Their revolutionary MTP 136D P25 aerial firefighting radio is U.S. Forest Service approved. It's in stock and ready to ship. Grounded unexpectedly? No problem. AEM stocking dealers across North America are prepared to support all your mission critical needs. Visit aem-corp.com/radio.
Yeah, so I have a bucket list in my life, and it's kind of a big deal. If it goes on the bucket list, it has to happen. That's kind of like the weird rule. It's not a matter of if, it's when it's going to happen. And when I was going through, when I was diagnosed and was going blind, in college, I wrote down, it was number 43 on my bucket list, create a foundation that would give kids the magic of flight, specifically kids with disabilities. I don't think you really treasure something at times until you don't have it anymore, until that leaves or you can't access that. And I went through, because of a disability, not being able to do certain things that I wanted to do, but realizing too that sometimes, again, those good things fall apart so that other things can work out. And everybody has a disability. Everybody. Like some people just have disabilities that are maybe a little more visible than others. And when I got back into aviation, when I was a little kid, this is when I was in high school, but a neighbor was selling an ultralight. And me and 3 of my best friends, we talked him into selling this old beat up ultralight for zero money, and we rebuilt it and we called it the Dream Machine. And it was
That's
just
cool.
For us as little kids, it was like, that's the ticket to freedom. and so we called this foundation Dream Machines based off of that. And the whole goal is to help little kiddos with disabilities, to give them the gift and magic of flight. And it's been hands down one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever been a part of in my life, because you see those kids that are battling and fighting things that nobody has any idea about, or things that people do realize, but they just don't understand how hard that is, for a little kid with spina bifida, or a kid with Down syndrome, or a kid that is blind, and to put them in that cockpit and to fly them, and for that 15, 20-minute flight, all that disappears. And those kids are completely captured in a moment that is truly magic.
Yeah.
And what I feel like is the essence of, at least for me, why aviation moved me and matters in my life.
You talk about sometimes it's better to give the gift than to receive, and that what you're describing is 100% true. Seeing people's reaction when they go on their first flight, and ride-alongs that I would do as a police officer, a police pilot, you look in the back at your passengers and they just have these huge grins.
Yep.
And those are people without disabilities, without the visible disabilities you're talking about. So take that to these young kids who may not have otherwise had this opportunity to sit in the back of a helicopter and experience that joy of flight. How cool.
And their families. That's the other thing. Like these little kiddos, and then you see what they're battling, but then also the parents are battling that as well. Like having a child with some of those difficulties, like that's a family endeavor. That's something that they're going to be enrooted, and to have the dad in the cockpit crying and looking over, and the dad's he's got that childlike joy just as much as the kid does. And so for the whole family to experience that has just been the best. Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming events for Dream Machines?
Yeah, we've got. So what we're doing too is that there's the actual events that we put on, and then there's the individual flights. We just did a lady that had ALS, and she couldn't talk. She's now since passed away, but we took her and her husband flying, and so it's not just events; it's also individual people and the community of pilots that we put together. And if you're struggling, if you're battling with something, let us be a part of that. And so it's not just the events; it's also individual people that we're trying to create those moments for. And to be honest, sometimes those are the most magical, because it's not wrapped up in the commotion of an event and lots of things happening and 7 helicopters flying in and out, but it's just here with you, and we're going to go up and create that core memory that'll hopefully last forever.
Yeah, gosh, how powerful. From your guys' perspective, you've seen a lot of organizations built like that. What thoughts do you have based on what Clint's talking about?
It's amazing because you always remember your first flight.
Totally.
Right? You always remember that feeling when that happens. Actually, it's interesting. We did a story with it was Maryland State Police, where they actually built a ramp system just so they could get kids with disabilities up to the helicopter, just to show them the helicopter, not to take them for a flight.
Yeah, just to see it.
Just to see it, right?
So cool.
It's very powerful. And there's many times that one of the things that Linda and I enjoy is that we have a great relationship with Niagara Helicopters. And anytime that someone comes in, we send them over to Niagara Helicopters to go for a flight over the falls. And 9 times out of 10, they've never been in a helicopter before. So to have that first experience flying over Niagara Falls as well. Yeah. So it's something special that, that aviation is, it's different, right? It's special.
It is.
So talk about sensory overload,
Well, specifically helicopters. Don't get me wrong, planes are cool, but for me, the magic of a helicopter is you can bring aviation to people. Like, we can land that helicopter in the backyard. We can land it at the you can bring it to people, and they don't have to just be at an airport. And I don't know, for me it's like it's real life Star Wars. It's right there, and you're experiencing it. I don't know.
Well, one of the things I always say is that in a plane, you can fly over, you can appreciate it. In a helicopter, you can fly over it, you can land, and you experience it.
Yeah,
there's
there.
There's been many times, like with helicopters, a lot of them are working remotely. So you get to go and see some very magical places that otherwise you would not be able to go to. So if you're going out and you're doing helicopters that are supporting mining and mineral exploration, well, you'll be up in some mountain valleys, and they're landing you on the top of a mountain where it's like, I don't think anyone's ever been here before.
That's a wild concept.
Yes.
Like, that's a wild thing to think about.
Yeah.
And that's what helicopters can do. They can take you to those places that...
I think that's what's cool about HeliLife, to change gears a bit, because, it's a brand that essentially celebrates just that. This whole idea of flight and adventure. Talk about your experience, Clint, as a pilot, and getting to experience helicopters in that way, and how that led to your involvement with HeliLife.
Flying is fun. Flying with people is magic. The community, sharing it, and allowing people to, again, feel that sense of freedom or wonder or awe or adventure or thrill or just forget about the stresses or the frustrations of life, I think is what's so cool. And HeliLife is the brand that links that community. It's that brand that I could be in the airport wearing a HeliLife shirt, and some random person's like, "Oh man, helicopters!" And we've got that instant connection, that instant bond, and for me, that's been the core of what HeliLife is. It is helicopters, but it's for me, it's the people. It's the people in this industry, because to do what we do, and to do, whether you're a maintainer, you're an operator, you're a pilot. We have that core common thread of flight and the magic that it creates, and the love, and the I don't know. There's just that common connection, and that's why HeliLife exists, and that's what it's intended to do, is to connect the people in that community.
So every episode of the last 6 months or so, people have heard the HeliLife contest on the Hangar Z podcast and the Helicopter podcast.
Yeah.
And I think people are very aware of this idea of HeliLife, and have come and looked at HeliLife, as the website and as a company. But I think in law enforcement especially, we have a hard time looking at brands in a way that promotes what we do. Because in law enforcement, you really don't want people to know that you're in law enforcement for a lot of reasons, right?
Yeah.
But the aviation community, you're like, oh, I love that I'm a part of this aviation community. So HeliLife to me is a brand that celebrates just that. The fact that I'm in aviation, I'm in this broad community of people that love all these things you're talking about. So it's been really cool for me to find a brand that celebrates the things that I identify with. And I think all the people that listen to the Hangar Z podcast, the Helicopter podcast, all of the podcasts in the Hangar or on the Helicast platform, all feel that same way, So for me, it's been cool. This is my most worn hat. As you guys know, I'm always wearing a hat.
You're always wearing a hat.
So thank you for creating a brand that unifies our community and is really something that people can wear and be proud of.
And I want to pay homage to the OG creators. So I'm co-owners with York Galland, who you all know. York, if you don't know York, I Fly Heli, he is the OG creator of that hat right there. And really the brand. And York is another person in my life that has been an incredible example of not just being a great father, but he's a great pilot. He's a great man, lives for things that I just think are significant, not just successful in his life. And I've seen I grew up watching him, how he used a helicopter to create those moments, to serve, to help people. And we had these little connections through the years, and we both live in Utah, and he went and served as a mission leader in Nashville, Tennessee, and he invited me to come out and speak to all of the missionaries. And we just hit it off and became instant friends. And he saw a little bit of the platform and what I was doing and my journey and Dream Machines and finding Hill with Hill Helicopters and that side of it. I saw what he was doing, and we just came together and said, why don't we just take this to another level. And his son Isaac has also been a massive and instrumental part of it. And so, if anything, just again to hang out with York and to be closer to him and to learn from him has been an amazing thing. And so he was that kind of OG HeliLife creator, and then we've been able to just take it to another level. And so shout out to York. I love you, man.
Yeah, talk about someone who's serving the community, doing the right things for the right reason. You know, all the things that I've seen from him, the example of servitude that I've seen is inspiring. You know, talk about some of the designs that HeliLife has and what some of the motivations for some of those are.
Yeah, we've tried to make it a brand that's universal. Like, there's obviously the iconic HeliLife like brand that and the OG hat, but we've got this skid kid like realm, like, you know, skid kids and things that we talk about in the helicopter slang, hover lovers, you know, just like things that we kind of talk about in that world. But we've tried to create some apparel that appeals to a younger audience, even just to the fit, to the quality, the style. And then something that's maybe a little bit more formal, or something that's a little more athleisure wear, fall, seasonal, winter stuff. We've just tried to appeal to every generational age, but ultimately too, we wanted to create something that was quality, and it's pilot built. Like, would I want to wear this while I'm flying in a helicopter? What I want to wear is this. Do we also have something that people could put on, and after they land the helicopter, now the adventure begins, encompassing all of the things HeliLife. We want to create something that people are proud to wear. And again, it connects that community in a way that we all love. So,
yeah, the quality aspect of it, it's huge. You know, if I like a company but don't like the quality or the design of what they've created, I'm like, I like your company, but no thanks.
Yeah.
You know, what you've created and what York's done, really cool. You know, and something I'm proud to wear. You know, every podcast when I'm out in public, the comments, questions I get, it's pretty cool. Linda, from your perspective, what are your thoughts and insights on HeliLife and you know, this whole community that has been created?
Yeah, well, I mean, it just goes to speak to this man, you know, and everything that he represents. I mean, who wouldn't want to be part of anything that Clint is behind? I mean, it's just, it's humbling. It's humbling to be around you. It's humbling to be a part of what you're doing, and you're doing it for all the right reasons. And I think that's what is the most appealing part of all of it. To me, I mean, and every time I listen to you, I'm like, oh, I learned something new.
Oh, thanks,
and I
Linda.
think just, you know, being with you, I think you just, you know, just elevates so much in what I feel and think. So, and it just speaks to the, I mean, obviously the helicopter community as a whole. That's what you embody it. This is why we're in this industry, you know, and yeah, it's just fun to watch and fun to be a small little part of watching all of this develop and grow and continue and flourish, and the friendship. And yeah, it's, you know, when you talk about York, yeah, like I remember meeting him 3 years ago or 4 years
Landed in our backyard.
Yeah,
There
it's
you
like,
go. Right?
Yeah.
he's an amazing person.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we're so lucky to be surrounded by all of this and all of this talent. So it's fun.
You know what's amazing? One of the things with York is when he had the with iFly Heli, and he was taking people on a journey when he was flying out in Utah and providing vistas that none of us have ever seen, and getting people interested in the helicopter community. So it was pretty amazing to see what he was doing. You know, we missed it for 2 years where we weren't seeing that anymore.
Yep.
But it was pretty awesome to see some of the places that he was visiting with his helicopter.
Yeah, there's no shortage of beauty in Utah. Talk about flying in Utah a little bit. You know, you've got unique terrain. You've got some airspace considerations with Salt Lake and some of the other regional areas. Talk about what it's like flying in that area.
It's the coolest playground for helicopters. You've got all the high mountains. You've got the Red Rocks down in southern Utah. You've got the 4 seasons, so we get cold winters, but you get hot summers. You've got all of the salt flats and the salt beds out in Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake. I don't know. There's just and it's so close. It's right there. You fly into Salt Lake and you are 15 minutes from the Rocky Mountain range, and so to have all of those different. It was great during training because you got high mountain flying training. You've got, you know, the airspace that you're working with, all sorts of different terrains and temperatures. So it's a playground for for helicopter pilots.
What are you flying right now?
Right now, I own an R-44. Yeah, so flying the Robinson Raven 2.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been great. And then maybe one day one of the Hill helicopters. So we'll see.
Yeah. So any updates on where they stand?
Hill's been amazing, and Jason Hill and that entire team and everything that Hill Helicopters is doing has been an amazing thing to be a part of. And I think what they're trying to do in our industry is captivating. I think it's powerful. I think it's needed. Anytime anybody's trying to just innovate and make things safer, more powerful, and lower cost, that's a great thing. And so I think Hill's doing that, and Jason Hill's been a dear friend. And I just love what they're doing. I think they've got a lot of challenges, and they've got a lot of things that they're working through, but they're going to do it. And we created a series called Finding Hill. And one of the first things I did, I bought one of the Hill helicopters, because in 2020 when that came out, I just remember looking at the ads and seeing what they were doing on social media, and I was like, man, if I could ever fly, that would be the machine that I would get. It just had all the things, what it was, the power, 3 blades, the Finestron tail, it looked cool, it was state of the art, and the price point was
it's
unbeatable.
It's wild, right?
Yeah. And so being a part of them and working with them and getting to just know Jason and the Hill community has been amazing. So, shout out to Hill. I think they're a great organization.
Yeah, excited to see that continue to develop. As you look back on your flying career, what's maybe the most memorable flight that you can think of, whether it was somewhere that was really beautiful or just impactful for whatever the reason? Maybe it's a flight as part of Dream Machines, but what's one flight that really sticks out as something that you think about today?
Thank you to our sponsor, HeliLife. Enhance your fall protection and maintenance efficiency with HeliLife, the industry standard of ladder workstands. The iconic orange MX-5 system is fully modular and compatible with countless aircraft models for any type of operation, making you money by preventing accidents and reducing maintenance errors. For a free quote and special discounts, visit heliladder.com. Focus on your work, not your balance.
Yeah, that specific lady that had ALS that had just passed away 2 months ago, taking her flying, and she couldn't speak. ALS had taken her voice at that point. She was very immobile. But there's a place in Utah called Squaw Peak, and it was where her and her husband had their very first date. And flying her up to that and hovering and just doing a slow circle hover around that place and looking over, and just the tears. The tears, and the husband in the back, and just grabbing her hand and just say, you remember, those little it was so powerful. And we gave them something that he'll remember forever, that she'll remember forever. And I don't know, in that moment, we took her back into time, and she remembered what it was all about, and remembered the significance and the beauty of her marriage and her family, and this is where it all started. Yeah.
What's cool is she didn't need words to express what she felt in that moment. Her body did that for her.
Yep.
And you got to experience and see that. What a cool opportunity and gift for you.
Yep.
Again, going back to the idea that to give a gift is better than to receive, and that is a good example of just that. Mike and Linda, you guys have been on tons of flights in some really unique places. Mike, you've been inverted with the camera. You've been in all kinds of weird positions.
I've done a lot of weird things with the camera, yeah.
I was going to go somewhere else, but I will stay away. When you think back over the course of your career, what's a flight or a place or a thing that you're like, man, I never thought I'd be in this place doing this thing?
So I guess I give 2 examples. Is one, anything that we did that was related to search and rescue. I always love the search and rescue mission. It's an amazing mission, and it was out in Comox, British Columbia, which beautiful place on Vancouver Island, and just being up in the mountains doing the search and rescue mission with the Royal Canadian Air Force. I mean, it was pretty special, and we were with them for 3 days, and I think we flew 15 hours in 3 days. And it was just amazing to see. We did everything from boat hoisting to high altitude type missions to water rescues. We were doing it all. So it was pretty amazing, because you saw what that was what epitomizes the helicopter. When Igor Sikorsky, when you thought about the helicopter, it was about going out and rescuing people. So that was amazing. The other flight that always sticks with me is a flight where I actually had a midair crash with the snowbirds, and that was just 2 years before we started Vertical, where I was a photographer for the snowbirds, and we had a midair flight that came down to the cause was based off miscommunication. It was actually team lead that flew into us, and we took off his tail, and team lead, and he had a passenger with him. They ejected over Lake Erie. It was just prior to the London International Air Show. And I was flying in the number 5 position, and we lost a big chunk of our leading edge, but we managed to make it back to London. But lots of lessons learned on both sides as being a passenger flying with them and not asking the right questions and things like that. And but it stuck with me, and I think that was the only time that Linda said, "You can do whatever you want when it comes to flying, but you're not flying with the snowbirds anymore." So I think that lasted for about 16 years, and then I knew some of the guys on the snowbirds I knew from F-18s that said, "Come on, come back up for a flight," and I did. But yeah, that was actually kind of a defining moment when we had that, because that's when I was just a photographer, and Linda was working in the tech industry at that time, and before we kind of brought this all together, and she's like, "Stick with helicopters."
Well, it's interesting. I feel like Vertical's done a really good job of providing a good safety background for the photographers that go out and are covering the really cool missions that take place in the industry. Talk about how that experience really led to wanting this culture of safety and like pushing that.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that at our core is doing everything safely. Briefing the mission, debriefing the mission of lessons learned, and for all the guys that are out there in the field flying with us, that's one of the things that we really try to impress on them, is that it's that safety culture. Sometimes when you pull out a camera, sometimes you'll have a pilot that they want to fly for the camera now. So things change.
Yep.
Or I've run into it several times, and actually just recently this summer, where a pilot will say that they've done certain things where in fact they haven't. And I've done this enough that you can figure it out within 3 minutes if they've flown formation or not. Yep. And it's just having the ability to speak up and say, "Stop," and we're done. And we put that on everyone. I said, don't ever feel that we're going to get upset when you tell you're on a photo mission, you say, "No, we're not doing this anymore."
Yep.
It's all about safety. It's just a photo, or it's just a video.
Yep.
So that's something that's very, very near and dear to us, is maintaining a safety culture. And it even comes down to things that we would share, say, on social media. It could be from other people that are out there, where we know that, say, it's unsafe safety practices, we will not share that.
Yep.
And we've had that several times where people say, "Well, why aren't you sharing that on there?" I said, "Well, because of this. We don't want to show that this is what people are doing with the helicopters, where they're not intended to do that." Mm-hmm. I remember with the whole selfie stick craze, sticking them out of windows of helicopters.
Yep.
The shoe selfies over New York City. Things like that we just refuse to showcase anything like that. So I find it's irresponsible for those that are sharing that if you're in this community.
Yep.
Yeah, our goal is to be a solution, or provide solutions to the industry to better our community, not create a hazard and create a catastrophe, Clint, I want to go back to you and talk about your early pilot experience. I think we all remember our first times hovering, if you want to call it that, and some of the challenges that go with that. Talk about some of those early impressions, and you talked about wanting to fly since you were a kid, and I felt like that too. I've wanted to fly forever. I was either going to be a professional baseball player or pilot. I never thought either one of them was going to come true, and baseball didn't, obviously. But getting to fly was amazing. And I remember, like, holy cow, I've been selected to be a pilot. I'm at flight school, and I cannot hover. It was challenging. Talk about that experience for you.
So hovering, so I'm a drummer. So using
unfair.
using your limbs and having that independence that is needed to hover. I still struggle. I was not perfect in any way, but there were some elements that helped. I also have been a flight simulator junkie since I was a little kid. Just would for hours on the flight simulator. And I had built a little collective and a cycle. It had little pedals that I just, but it helped. It helped create that independence. And so getting in the machine for the first time, it was, and doing the hovering, as much as I struggled, it was cool to see how all of that sim time and sim training and even the drumming skills to be able to just independently think definitely helped. But I will say this though, when I failed my check ride as a fixed wing pilot during an engine failure procedure. He pulled the engine. I made a series of decisions that, if that would have been a real simulation, probably would have cost us our lives. I tried to turn back and make it to a runway. We lost altitude too quickly. Check ride examiner puts the throttle on, looks at me in the seat and says, "You failed." And I landed that day at the airport. My whole family was on the ramp. Oh. My parents had this huge sign that said "World's Newest Pilot." And I got out, tears in my eyes again. And I walked up, and my mom, she instantly could tell. My dad wrapped his arms around me, and I said, I failed. And I don't know, I try not to be like the motivational speaker, but there's certain things that I think through in my life. And this is as motivational as this may sound. I hit the books harder than ever. I went back and I studied, and I went up with my flight instructor again, and we did engine failure after engine failure after engine failure, studied the emergency procedures. I eventually went up, took the check ride again. I passed, got my wings. 2 weeks after I got my private pilot's license, I had an engine failure with my best friend in the Katana, the DA-20. Spark plug failure, choked the engine out. And I remember in that moment just being completely calm. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. And we made it back to the airport. We were high enough, and I had enough distance. I had done my calculations properly just because I had failed. Mm-hmm. And we landed back on that runway. And I like to believe that I'm alive to this day because I failed. And you fail your way to success. And so for me, my flight journey has been a lot of failures. It's been a lot of failures, whether it's through my eyes or just even in flying. And so as easy as maybe hovering might have been, it's definitely been a hard road of failing my way to that success.
That's definitely the environment to experience that failure, right? And like you said, that was what saved your life, was that exact failure to cause you, like, hey, I need to go hit the books. I need to do this, get that muscle memory in place where if it does happen, and it did, you execute it, and it saved your life and your best friend. Mm-hmm. Wild.
And I love that about aviation. It demands excellence, right?
Yeah.
But it's stuff that I've in business, and like what you've done with Vertical and what you're doing with the podcast. Like we strive to create something that is quality, something that is valuable, something that is needed, something that, again, is bigger than ourselves. And when you do that right in aviation, man, sky's the limit. Yep. Literally. Like it's when it's done right, it matters.
Yeah.
Has your friend flown with you again?
Yeah, he is actually a Delta captain. He is an airline pilot right now, crushing it. So,
and another question is, was your mom there with the sign the second time?
She did show up the second time. She did.
She didn't show up with two signs?
Yeah, retry. World's newest pilot, maybe? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, double-sided. We'll flip this if we need to.
The other side said maybe better next time.
Yeah, maybe better next time. Yeah, try harder, Clint. Try harder.
Yeah. What a cool experience. That.
Sorry, what he said, which kind of resonates, is many failures to success.
Yeah, you fail your way to success.
Fail your way to success, and that's something where it's so true. Where it's okay to fail because of the lessons that you learn that just make you stronger.
Yeah.
So no matter if it's personally or in business.
Has there been things in the vertical world? I'm just curious. I mean, you two are here, and I in your journey, that maybe some the failures that have led to the successes that you guys have seen? I'm just so curious.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think right from day one when we started Vertical, we didn't know any other publishers. Mm-hmm. We didn't know anybody else that was doing what we wanted to do. We had no friends that were doing this, no allies. We went in blind. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what we were kind of getting into. And I remember one of the big lessons that we learned was had to use a printer, obviously.
Yep.
So we contacted this one printer in London, Ontario, and said, okay, this is what we're planning to do. Our first run was 10,000 books maybe. And he charged us a ridiculous amount of money, like ridiculous. Like, no, I look back at that and we didn't know any different.
At the
So
time, we just thought that was normal.
We thought
Yep.
that we just
Yep.
had full trust. And anyway, in the end, we stayed with them for a few issues still, had no idea that we were paying way too much.
Yeah.
But that's just, that was a small, big, I don't know. It was one of the lessons. We've had many. It's been many.
Yeah.
And of course, when we started Vertical, we had 3 kids under 3. So it was tough.
Busy.
The days were
Busy,
long,
busy.
and but it was so worth it in the end. It was worth it right from day one. But yeah, lots of little hiccups
But you had to take those steps
For sure.
100%.
to get to where you are now. So if it didn't happen that way, we wouldn't be where we are today.
And fun fact, actually, I get really motion sick in helicopters.
Do you
It drives
really?
Mike crazy. It drives him crazy. I get so motion sick. So every time Mike's like, hey, it's an opportunity to fly. I'm like,
good.
give me some gravel. But
I
that's
did not
okay.
know that. That is awesome.
Yeah.
What's
so.
really cool for me coming in 23 years after the inception of the business is seeing the principles and philosophies you talk about in action with what they've created as a culture, as a business,
I
as a
have
family.
heard that from every one of their employees, every one of their team members.
Did you come in undercover?
You were undercover.
You guys have no
You sneaky,
idea. You
sneaky.
have no idea. This has been going on for years. No, but I have heard from every team member that I have met on the Vertical team. And so much of why they're here and they're a part of it is because of these two.
Yeah. Talk about your guys' early mindset and motivation to create a culture, like Clint says, that people want to stay.
Well, and I think I'll never forget when Mike called when you were in Calgary attending a show, and he was working for a big publishing company, and at that time, and they didn't look at the industry the way that we were looking at it. It was just pump out the magazines. It's just a sausage factory, and there was no thought being put into the content, and that drove Mike crazy. He's like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right, and we're going to look at this from the grassroots of the industry, and we want to make sure that we're providing the right voice for the industry and the right, as like we always talk about, the importance of safety. And anyway, so that I remember when you called and said, that's it, I can't do this anymore. And the publisher of that magazine said, basically he said, well, fine, you're replaceable.
Yeah.
Wow, that magazine does not exist.
And it was the culture that was what forced me out as well.
Exactly.
It was that culture, and it was that whatever you say, you're wrong.
Yep.
I'm the publisher at that time.
Yep.
And I don't care what you have to say.
Yep.
But they really did treat it like a sausage factory. We don't care what the ingredients are. Just spit out as much content as you can. But what we learned, so I learned a lot of tough lessons from working for people previously.
Yeah.
Before we started our own, and then what we learned is what not to do. And I think as small to medium businesses, where they fail is with people.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, okay, how do we want to be treated? How are we going to treat others? And I remember there was a period 6 or 7 years ago. We joined this group called EO. It was Entrepreneur Organization.
Yep.
So we thought we would join it because you're looking for some business hacks, like how to deal with taxes or whatever, or how do you deal with different employee plans and things like that. And all these businesses were similar size, but what we came away with, people were saying, we were saying what we were doing for our team, and they were saying, why do you do that? Well, you don't do that? No, we don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, why not? I go, it's more expensive to replace that person than it is to keep them. But they didn't look at it that way. They just look at it was just from the money side
Bottom
of things.
line.
It always comes back to the bottom line. But I think, to this day, we can always look ourselves in the mirror and say we've done the right thing for our business and for the people that are part of it.
Yeah.
And that's why, if we look at the size team we are now, which is 25 people now, we've developed a phenomenal team, and we base our success on the people that we've surrounded ourselves with that team.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal. Like, look at John, how John came on to be part of the team.
Totally.
It was those steps that he took And we were supposed to be on a podcast with John. And then with what John was going to ask, I was like, I'm not going on a podcast.
I've asked all those questions today. It's all right.
Yeah, so it took a few podcasts to get those out of me.
Thank you to our sponsor, Quantum Helicopters. For over 2 decades, Phoenix PD, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Mesa PD, and the Pinell County Sheriff's Office in Arizona have trusted Quantum Helicopters for primary flight training. We've helped boost their efficiency, cut costs, delivered unmatched quality, and keep them focused on public safety. Don't just take our word for it. Reach out and see how we can deliver the same results for your agency. Visit quantumhelicopters.com to learn more.
But then it was like, well, hey, we really like the Hangar Z. Let's kind of partner up.
Yeah.
And I think that only lasted a couple months. And then we just said, you know what? Why don't you just come be part of the MHM team?
Yeah.
And now to look at, that was just the first podcast, and look at the number of podcasts we have now under the Vertical Helicast. So now to have John as part of that team. So it's phenomenal to see the different people that have come on. Leslie with being our conductor with the conferences. So it's amazing. We're blessed that we have an amazing team, and it's great when you hear this at the show. It was interesting is that Kelowna, a gentleman at Airbus, Ross Johnson, and Ross will always tell you what he thinks if he sees anything
he'll
wrong.
give it to you straight.
He'll tell me straight. And so we're at the show, and he goes, I said, so Ross, what do you think of the show? And he took a pause, and he said, I got one question before I answer you. And he said, all these people that are here, who are they? I go, what do you mean? He goes, did you hire them, or are they your people? And I said, well, yeah, they're our people. We brought them here. We want them to experience why we did this. And he said, God damn it. He goes, okay. He goes, I got nothing. He goes, phenomenal. He goes, that was the last thing, is if you hired people to come here for you. And we didn't. We brought the team to be a part of this. So to know why, it's been a long year of putting this together, but now they know why.
Totally.
And now they get to experience it. So, and it's just something as simple. Those 3 kids that were just standing here an hour ago saying, we drove 14 hours to get here.
And can you imagine too, like you look, 3 years, 4 years down the road, and those 3 kiddos that came here, I would call them kiddos, but those high school seniors, they came here and now they're talking to so-and-so at Metro, so-and-so at Air Methods, so-and-so, you could change that trajectory where if this would not have been, that would not have been. And to look at that orchestration, it's just so powerful when you realize that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
What a way to live.
Yes, for sure.
As we close out, I want to go back to one leadership idea that you talked about today, and in all your presentations, you talk about the power of moments, the power of consistency, and I think this is my interpretation of how you've said it. I think you talked about looking for hacks in business. I think for people that are looking for hacks in leadership, I think being consistent and doing the small things for people are the hack. Talk about, Clint, from your perspective and your experience, how those little things you do for people, it doesn't have to be this big grandiose thing that you create for your employees, the folks that you're leading. It could be a simple handwritten note, a thank you. And you talked about getting in touch with so-and-so's wife and saying, hey, thank you for all the dedication your husband affords to our company. Correct. Because of his dedication, all these things happen. Talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah. I wrote in the book that the coolest part about leadership is that it matters. The hardest part about leadership is that it matters every day. And you change a culture by doing small things consistently over a long period of time. And I look back on all of the interviews that I've conducted and done undercover, now over 11,000. Never, not once, did an employee say, I love Bell because we're so good at time management. I love working at Airbus because they run the best meetings. Like, nobody talks about that stuff. Nobody said anything about that. When people would respond with, I love it here, they talked about the moments when a family member passed away, or a mom or dad passed away and flowers showed up at the funeral. They talk about the moments when the family had a brand new baby and the company provided 6 months of free diapers. They talk about the moments when someone's struggling with a divorce or anxiety or depression, and the boss comes to them and says, hey, we would love if therapy or counseling would help you and your family. Like, we would love to pay for 10 sessions. Like, that's what they talk about. We do not remember the days at work. We remember the moments. And that's not just work, that's life. And it's about relationships. It's about creating that dynamic where, again, I'm not just an employee, I'm a person. And I get to go home after being at work, and I'm actually a better dad because of work. I get to go home and I'm a better mom because of work. Like when we think that way, when we think I'm not just running an MRO conference. No, I'm impacting the young lives of an industry that needs it more than ever. And because we created a moment, they get to live a better story. That's a different level. That's the level of significance, not just success. And if we can remember that and let that be the guiding force, then, man, strap up. Because it's just, again, like I said, it's the best way to live.
Yeah, I love that. I talk about with the athletes that I help coach, when you communicate with people, they may not remember the things that you say, but they'll remember how you make them feel over the course of your time with them.
Yep.
So for leaders, think about that. How do you make your folks feel?
Yep.
It's delivery is important. You can deliver the same message in two different ways, and one's taken one way and the other's taken the other. And
look at your own life. You retrospectively, sometimes the phrase is like, well, you should be that, like we talked about, Mike, like past things that you saw that you didn't love or people didn't like, or that you just affected you negatively. And sometimes people will say, we try to be the leader that you wish you had. And I found in my research that there's power in becoming the mentor you were lucky enough to have. Like, look back on your career and you're like, who are the people that showed up? Who are the people that created the moment? Who are the people that opened the door? Who are the people that because of them, you are now where you're at now? And when you remember, like, that's you. If you are in a leader, you have that opportunity. You have that privilege. You have that platform. You have that ability to influence in a way that somebody a year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years later will look back and go, you're the one that changed everything. That's a cool perspective.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a lot of what Clint talks about, again, you guys embody in your leadership style and the culture and company you've created. Talk about how his messages here in Kelowna, through the book, through the podcast, have resonated with you guys, and some of the thoughts that have come out of that.
Well, and I think, you know what, we try to do many of the things that Clint has spoke of and in the book, and we do try to do that, but there's still always room for improvement.
Yep.
There are so many things, and that's why I wanted to listen again today. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that one. I just keeping it top of mind. One of our gentlemen, they just had a baby, Lloyd, shout out to them and their beautiful daughter, Fenna. But like now I'm thinking about them and I'm thinking about diapers and now what they're going to be dealing with. And, he's got to go back to work, but yet he's got these two, young, and we've had that many times. David, so as, you talk about that and then I'm like, there it is, So there's nothing that we're always learning. Always learning, and we have so much to learn still. So I just keep on trying to take it all in, and I just appreciate these kinds of conversations that bring it top of mind. And
it's easy to forget.
It's so easy.
It is, and it's always listening.
Yeah.
So listen to your people, right? Listen to what they have to say.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, we'll use David as an example. So, David knows everything on what he's doing with the producing with the podcast. So if he tells me something, it's like, okay, David, well, you're the expert.
Yeah, you're the expert.
So if that's what you say, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had that many cases with Rob, with John. You can name many people that's their expertise. So if that's what you
trust them,
you have to trust them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we always tell, say those that are in a supervisory position, is that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
And I think you've been successful if you can get someone to do your job to 80%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So if you get to that 80%, then that's a huge success.
For sure.
So that's how we've always looked at that and provide the free rein to do those things, and everyone excels at their at that position. So. But again, you're always learning. You're always listening to things, and you're looking for that one. Sometimes you're always looking for that one little nugget that's, oh, hey, we never thought of that. That you can bring, over. Linda will attest. Whenever we go south, I take a book. I'll take a motivational book. I read your book in Mexico, so I'll take something. I was like, hey, there's something in here that I can learn from.
Always be learning.
Always.
Leadership is that thing. It's like the game of golf. You'll never perfect it. You'll never master
Yeah.
it, but it's fun to try. It's
Yeah.
fun to just
Still hate it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You'll never get there, but you still give it a shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things I love about your book is it's not this book of philosophy that you're like, well, how does that really apply and what can I actually do? The things that you talk about and write about in your book, there's actionable things that you can actually do to be a better leader. And not many books on leadership do that. Not many books in general do that.
Do you know what the thing is, that it's a book of common sense.
Yeah, totally.
Like you're not. There's not like
It's
a
not
secret
rocket science.
No.
Yeah,
like when
it's
you
not-
read it, you don't go, "Oh, I never thought of that." Like it's common sense, and I think that's what we forget
Yep.
is common sense
Yep.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes again it's so simple.
Yeah.
Like a thank you, a written note, a sit down, a trip out to lunch, little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Before we close out, I just want to say one thing as far as this group, this community, and the impact that Clint has had. In Kelowna, we haven't had enough time to talk to people here yet because he just spoke today. But in Kelowna, the number of people that came up and said thank you, and they said it was amazing. We needed to hear that, and we had. One gentleman, president of a company in Kelowna, he said, we needed to hear that as an industry. These DOMs needed to hear that. And it was amazing. And then the joke was, so were you on the phone calling all your mechanics, But this group would never get that anywhere else. So to look at what you've been able to foster, and it's all started here. Where you said we had to start somewhere, and that's at the VMRO show. So thank you for doing that. I know
Thank you,
you're
Mike.
used to going to these massive groups, but we're a big group in a very, very small industry.
Yes.
So it's just fantastic, and that was the big takeaway for maintenance was that this was awesome. This was special for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mission accomplished.
mission accomplished,
Yeah.
and
Thank
you're
you.
going to be back. So
Thank you. I'm in. I'm in for the long
we
haul.
might kidnap you.
Yeah. I'm in.
Exactly.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
To piggyback on what Mike said, thank you for your passion for making this place a better world. One day at a time, one conference at a time, one moment at a time. It's really neat to call you a friend, to see you speak every time. I'm as engaged every time you speak as I was the first time, which is really cool, and that can't be said for most folks.
Thank you, John.
So as we kind of close out here, give us your closing thoughts, and we'll move down. And actually, let's go to you last, Mike. Closing thoughts here.
from a leadership perspective, or
No, just as a conversation. And
So I think we'll look at it from the VMRO side of things. Is that it's amazing to see what we've been able to bring these people together. So just to get that feedback of thank you, like they've been so many times here, Kelowna, being stopped and people saying thank you for doing this for us. I had someone from the FAA stop me yesterday, held out his hand. He said, "Thank you for bringing this to the United States."
wow.
So to get that, I mean, mission accomplished. We're
Yeah.
doing it for the right reasons.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And like I said in the very beginning, all the pinch me moments that I've had, they just keep coming. Just such a great experience. Clint just being just epic for me personally, just because I take so much from what he says, and I'm just like in awe. When we got up, and I told Clint this when we got up and did our welcome speech, I channeled my inner Clint. I'm going to keep working on it because I do like the thought of
energy.
public speaking, and I like trying to get that energy, but it's a very difficult, and you're got that superpower, and I am just very in awe of it. So everything has been it's been amazing, and we've enjoyed the journey, the friendship,
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
It's been great. So
Yep.
Yeah. This really is like a full circle experience for me. From again being a little kid, and being exposed to the industry through Vertical Magazine to be here today really is a full circle moment. And I have you too to thank for that. And John, thank you for inviting me. Mark Twain was the person that said that there's 2 important days in a person's life. 2 important days. Number 1 is the day you're born. It's pretty significant. and second is the day you figure out why. And I've tried to live my life in a way, because at the end of my life, I think I'm going to be surrounded by two things. I'm going to be either surrounded by the wouldas, shouldas, couldas, or I'm going to be surrounded by the do it, did it, done it's. And when I look back, I want to be able to say, like, I tried to be the best for the world. I tried to give in a way that I was put on this earth with certain things, and I just tried to help, and I tried to lift, and I tried to support, whether that was through lifting someone literally in the air with a helicopter through Dream Machines, or the thought of maybe that DOM in this conference is going to go back and they're going to do an interview, they're going to do a growth development plan, they're going to sit down, they're going to make a phone call that maybe makes this industry that has given me so much in my life, that truly has sparked the magic and the joy of who I am, and to give back, and to maybe, because I was here for this short 60-minute keynote period of time, somebody goes back and lives a better story. And so thank you to all of you. Thank you to Vertical. You are a part of my family. You are literally a part of my life story. And so being a part of this is just, it's what I'm supposed to do.
Thank you, Clint, for everything. Thank you for sharing all your experiences, not just on this podcast, but other ones as well. And, as this is recorded, we're in front of Christmas as you're listening. Think about going to HeliLife, their website, and gift that pilot, that TFO, that DOM, that mechanic, some really cool HeliLife swag. There's some really cool stuff to celebrate there. For corporations or individuals who might be looking to donate, altruistically, and tax season's coming up, how could they donate to your organization to help give that gift of flight?
Thanks, John. Dreammachines.net. is the website, dreammachines.net, and there's an area there that they can donate. It's set up. It's not a 501c3. It's set up as a foundation corporation, and so companies can use marketing dollars, sponsorship dollars, to support that, and just again, any donation goes straight back to the kids and to making that organization thrive, so we can give the magic of flight to more people. Dreammachines.net.
Well, thank you, everybody, for today, and we'll catch you next time on the Hangar Z Podcast.
Awesome.
Love you, John.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers. Thank you to our sponsor, Quantum Helicopters. For over 2 decades, Phoenix PD, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Mesa PD, and the Pinal County Sheriff's Office in Arizona have trusted Quantum Helicopters for primary flight training. We've helped boost their efficiency, cut costs, delivered unmatched quality, and keep them focused on public safety. Don't just take our word for it. Reach out and see how we can deliver the same results for your agency. Visit quantumhelicopters.com to learn more. Thank you to our sponsor, HeliLadder. Enhance your fall protection and maintenance efficiency with HeliLadder, the industry standard of ladder workstands. The iconic orange MX-5 system is fully modular and compatible with countless aircraft models for any type of operation, making you money by preventing accidents and reducing maintenance errors. For a free quote and special discounts, visit heliladder.com. Focus on your work, not your balance. Thank you to our sponsor, AEM. Their revolutionary MTP 136D P25 aerial firefighting radio is U.S. Forest Service approved. It's in stock and ready to ship. Grounded unexpectedly? No problem. AEM stocking dealers across North America are prepared to support all your mission critical needs. Visit aem-corp.com/radio. Thank you for tuning into this special episode of the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicast and in partnership with Vertical Valley Magazine. We had the privilege of recording on location at the Vertical MRO Conference in Irving, Texas, with none other than Emmy Award winning Clint Pulver. As a keynote speaker, author, pro drummer, helicopter pilot, and partner in HeliLife, Clint's story and his initiatives remind us of the power of leadership, community, and giving back. We discussed his apparel company, HeliLife, a brand born from a love of aviation and a commitment to high-quality gear. We also explored his nonprofit, Dream Machines, which is dedicated to giving children with disabilities the magic of flight through unforgettable experiences both on the ground and in the air. Clint's passion for elevating the aviation community and for creating impactful community-driven initiatives is truly inspiring. We're grateful to have had him share his journey and vision with us. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out the links and resources related to Clint's work, and stay tuned for more stories that celebrate the spirit of our helicopter aviation community. Cheers.